All right, guys. Today's lesson is about graphing quadratic functions in vertex form and also graphing quadratic functions in standard form. So here are the steps. Make sure you copy them down as I read them. So step 1, you find the vertex. Step 2, you create a table, but on that table, the first values you're going to put here and here are whatever your answer is for the vertex. So H and K go here first. Then you insert the next X values to the left and to the right of the number you put here. So for example, if your vertex was 3, comma 10, what number is to the left of 3? 2. What number is to the right of 3? 4. Now you look for the next two numbers next to those two that you marked. What number is next to 2? Positive 1. And what number is next to 4? Positive 5. That's what tells you what numbers go on the left column. And then in order to fill up this side, you just plug in these numbers into the equation for the x. Now, there's a reason why I make you put these exact numbers in there, the ones next to your vertex. Because if you pick the ones next to the vertex, it will give you the U shape that you're looking for when you graph. Once you're done with the whole table, you plot your points and it will give you a parabola on a graph. So copy it down. I'll give you a minute. I'll go to the next page and show you an example. All right, now we move over to the next page. This is the first example we're going to do, following those same steps that we talked about. So first of all, here we're graphing an equation that's in standard form. To find the vertex on standard form, you find h and you find k. To find h, it's negative b divided by 2a. To find k, you plug in h for x. So the first thing you do, negative b divided by 2 times a. Negative 2 divided by positive 2 is negative 1. So my h value is negative 1. Now you plug in negative 1 into the equation wherever you see an x. And now you just solve. Negative 1 to the second power is positive 1. 2 times negative 1 is negative 2. And now 1 minus 2 plus 1 equals 0. So negative 1 comma 0 is my vertex, which means the first point in here is negative 1 comma 0. Now let's go over here to the graph and plot that point real quick. Negative 1 comma 0 is right here. Now this is what I mean when I say that the next x values are the ones that are right next to those. What number is to the right of negative 1? 0. What number is to the left of negative 1? Negative 2. Now what number is next to 0? Positive 1. And what number is next to negative 2? Negative 3. That's how you get the values that go in here. But there's a trick to this. The reason why I picked the next x values over is because this is going to create a perfect U shape. So technically, if you have a point on the right side right here, there has to be a matching point on the left side on that same exact spot. So that's the concept we're going to use here in order to graph. Negative 1 comma 0 is already graphed. Now we plug in the 0 value. 0 squared plus 2 times 0 plus 1. You're plugging it into the equation, don't forget. So 0 to the second power is 0. 2 times 0 is 0. What's left? Positive 1. So 0 comma positive 1 is right here. Now you know, because of the definition of a parabola, it's a perfect U. So that means that if this point is 1 away and up 1, the point to the left of it is going to be on the same exact spot but on the opposite side. So that tells you if 0 gave me 1, then negative 2 also has to give me 1 because these are the same. So you don't have to plug in all of these numbers. You just have to plug in one of these and one of these and copy the answer over. So you're either going to plug in a 1 or a negative 3. Which one do you think is easier to work with? A positive 1 is easier to work with. So 1 to the second power plus 2 times 1 plus 1. 1 to the second power is 1. Plus 2 is 3. Plus 1 is 4. Now, if this gave you 1 comma 4, then the next one gives you 1 comma 4. Now you plot those points. Negative 2. Oh, we already plotted that one. 1 comma 4. Right here. Negative 3 comma 4. The matching point on the other side. Now you should already see a V or U shape. So you curve it, and you have your graph. All right, so that was the first example. Standard form, graphing it. Let's do one more example from standard form, and then we'll move over to 2 examples from vertex form. It's the same, except vertex form is easier than standard form because you can find the vertex without doing any work. So let's begin with this one. Over here, A is 3, but B is not there. If B is not there, B is 0. If C is not there, then C is also 0. So now we do the same thing. Negative B divided by 2 times A. 0 divided by anything equals 0. So I already know that my H value is 0. Now I plug it in. 3 times 0 to the second power. 0 to the second power is 0. Times 3 is 0. So I know my vertex is 0, comma 0 right there. Now, what number is to the right of 0? Positive 1. What number is to the left of 0? Negative 1. What number is to the right of 1? Positive 2. And what number is to the left of negative 1? Negative 2. Now you just have to plug in these numbers into the equation and solve. So 3 times 1 to the second power. 1 to the second power is 1 times 3 is 3. Now here's the beauty of graphing this. If 1 gave me 3, then negative 1 also has to give me 3. You copy the answer over because it has to be symmetrical. So now we have 1 comma 3 and negative 1 comma 3. Already you see a little V or U shape. Now the last one, plug in a 2 here. 2 to the second power is 4 times 3 is 12. So the next point also has to have a 12 answer. Now we go 2 comma 12 somewhere up here, negative 2 comma 12. This is going to be a narrow U. I'll give you a minute to copy. All right, moving on to the next page. On the next two examples, we're going to graph it from vertex form straight onto the graph. So like I told you in class, it's easier to work with vertex form versus standard form. Less work. Now I'll show you. To find the vertex, you don't have to do any work when it's in vertex form. You grab the number in the parentheses and you change the sign, and you grab the number at the end and you don't change the sign. That is my vertex. -4, -7. Now, I have to put the x values that should go here. What numbers? -4, -7. What number is right next to -4 on both sides? -3 and -5. And now what numbers are next to those? -2 and -6. Now we know the numbers to plug in. Let's plug it into the equation. Over here you have -2 parentheses, -3 plus 4, you're plugging in the number, squared minus 7. Now you can do what's in the parentheses first, then the exponent. -3 plus 4 is +1, and 1 to the second power is +1. So we have -2 times 1 minus 7, which gives you -9. Now, if -3 gave you -9, then the mirror image of it is -5 comma -9. So -3, -9, -5, -9. Now, my next 2 points are probably going to land off of my grid, but I can still figure out how to graph it. Let's plug in the -2. So -2 parentheses, -2 plus 4, squared minus 7. This gives me 2 to the second power, which is 4. 4 times -2 is -8. Minus 7 is -15. If this one gave me -15, then the -6 has to give me -15 because it's the mirror image. Your graph should look something like this. Any questions? I'll give you a second to copy it. Go right ahead. All right. Moving on to the final example. This next example is also in vertex form. So you grab the number in the parentheses, change the sign, grab the number that's outside of the parentheses, and don't change the sign. There's my vertex, -6, comma, -1. Right here on the graph. Now, what x values are to the left and to the right of -6? -5 and -7. What numbers are to the right of those two numbers and to the left, well, to the right of -5 and to the left of -7? It would be -4 and -8. Now, plug in the number, copy it to the second one, plug in the number, copy it to the second one. You only have to do it twice. So -5 is the one I'm going to use. 5 times -5 plus 6 squared minus 1. Now, -5 plus 6 is +1. 1 to the second power is 1. And 5 times 1 minus 1 is 4. If -5 gave me a result of 4, then -7 also has to give me a result of 4 because it's a U-symmetric shape. Now we do the same thing, but with the -4. 5 times -4 plus 6 squared minus 1. Negative 4 plus 6 is positive 2. To the second power is 4. 5 times 4 minus 1 is 19. If negative 4 gave me 19, then negative 8 also gives me 19. The 19 I can't graph, so I'm just going to graph these two, give or take. Your graph should look something like this. Now, when you're going to graph it yourself, it's not you drawing a graph, it's clicking it on a mouse. So you're going to be able to click 2 points and it'll draw the U for you.